About 2 years ago, back in 2010, I made a very similar video to this, but I didn't quite make the point I want to make today. It's not exactly the same. You see, I'm a weirdo, and that's a good thing. You see, I'm a left-handed adopted multiracial lesbian atheist. That is a lot of minorities to be a part of. And the thing is, I realized very early on that I didn't fit in. I realized very early on that I just did not belong. And it occurred to me that I had a couple of choices. I could either fight against it as hard as I could, trying like hell to be part of the mainstream, to be part of what everyone considered normal, whether it was normal or not. Or I could revel in being who I was. I could grab onto being a weirdo as hard as I could and say, this is who I am. And anyone who tells me I shouldn't be can get stuffed, right? I mean, as long as I'm not hurting anybody, or at least not hurting them against their will, without permission, then, what's wrong with being strange? What's wrong with not fitting in? Nothing, as far as I can see. In fact, as near as I can tell, it's the unique weirdos that change the world, that make the world different. It's the unique weirdos that the public eventually latches onto and says, wow, that's a cool way to be weird. Let's be weird that way. It's the people who don't do things the normal way, who make changes, who are not just running on automatic, who are in fact thinking. Goes with my slogan. Now, those of you who try to be quote-unquote normal as hard as you can, well, it seems to me that you're doing yourself a disservice. I mean, not only are you not being who you are, not only are you not embracing, well, reality, basically, you're also, well, how do I put this? You're also causing yourself a certain amount of disservice, a certain amount of harm, I guess. I mean, there are a lot of people out there who try really hard to be normal, who ultimately, well, maybe they don't actually commit suicide, but, they are certainly depressed. I mean, the sheer number of stories I've heard from, say, people who are atheists now, who spent a very large amount of their time trying to be religious, even though they didn't believe, because it's what their family happened to be. It's what they thought was expected of them. The sheer number of people who've done that, who hated life, who absolutely hated who they were forcing themselves to be. And it's not limited to religion. Even though religion is a large part of this, I mean, the number of people I've heard who tried really hard to be straight when they weren't. I mean, come on. How much does that suck? Forcing yourself to be with a person whose body you don't like, whose personality you're not into, because you want something else? How much pain can you cause yourself, deliberately cause yourself, because you're trying to fit in, because you're trying to be what's expected of you by other people, because you're afraid of the abuse that will come to you? How can you do that? I realized a long time ago that I could not be like that, that was something I couldn't do. And I'm much, much happier because of it. I mean, seriously, maybe my life isn't perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better than it would be if I was trying to fit in. I'm just saying. So, if you find yourself trying to be something you're not, if you find yourself trying to force yourself into a mold that you know isn't right for you, but you want it either because it's expected of you or because you're afraid of how the world will treat you if you don't fit in, well, you're not only hurting yourself, you're actually hurting the world at large in a certain way. Because the more people who don't attempt to change the world, who don't attempt to say, hey, what's expected of me is not what I want, and I'm not going to fit in. In fact, I'm going to make a niche for myself and for other people who don't fit in. I'm going to take a stand for the people that aren't normal, so that maybe there can be multiple patches of normal that are accepted. I mean, maybe that's just it. Maybe there isn't a normal, really. That what we really want are different areas that can be accepted. Because let's face it, there isn't just one religion out there. And if people don't happen to fit into one, well, they can fit into another without expecting abuse from the rest of the world. How much better is that? I mean, what if there was a section of the world where you could have no religion and not expect abuse from people? Where you could say, look, that's your religion and I don't buy it. It's just not me, and that's your other religion and I don't buy that either. So I'm going to be in this bubble of no religion, and you don't get to point and laugh at me because of it. You don't get to make fun of me. You don't get to call me evil because I've decided not to buy what you're selling. How cool would that be? How awesome would it be if you could point to one sexuality and say, I'm not into that, I'm into this instead, and you don't get to make fun of me for that? How cool would that be? There are probably still parts of the world where being left-handed will get you abuse. I can almost guarantee it. And there's no reason why that should be the case. None. So, it should be okay in this world to be a weirdo. It should be okay in this world to be different. Shouldn't it? Of course it should. So, like I say, don't run on automatic. Think. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be a weirdo. This is BionicDance, signing off. Please take the time to rate this video. And hey, if you dig what I do, subscribe. And please visit my Zazzle store, where you'll find all kinds of BionicDance merchandise. And hey, if you hit that thumbs up over there, and then pray really, really hard, you might just get your own spaceship. Think about it.